You're watching In Focus, where the news' Brian Meyer sits down with a local newsmaker each week to talk about timely topics.
The owner of a North Buffalo icon insists the final curtain has not fallen on the North Park Theater. This despite the fact that Dipson Theaters showed its last film earlier this month. Attorney Tom Eoannou owns the building where the North Park Theater is located. We talked about the theater's future and the future of Hurdle Avenue. Tom, it's ironic that one of the posters remaining in this very impressive showplace is a James Franco summer movie, This Is the End. Is this the end for the North Park?
No, Brian, it's the beginning. It's the resurgence of the North Park. We're going to put it back. We're going to keep it running bigger and better than ever.
How are you going to do that when established movie folks claim they've been losing money for 5 years straight here?
Because we're going to put the effort in. I'm a neighborhood guy. This is a neighborhood community asset. We'll do, quite frankly, what Dipson didn't do. We'll invest money, we'll put time and effort into it, we'll make it beautiful again, we'll fix the seats, and people will want to come. What
type of program fare are you envisioning?
You know, Brian, it's early in the game, but we will certainly have to supplement it with live entertainment because that's the only way a single-screen theater can survive.
This is, what, 850 seats? A very large venue.
850 seats, the second largest venue in the city of Buffalo, the sister theater to the Shays, and the longest-running Shays in the history of America.
How much money are you going to have to put into, kind of get it up to where you want it?
Mike Cristiano and I, Mike from Left Bank, have made a commitment that we will come in here, it will be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars that we will personally invest.
Are you going to be able to actually turn a profit here, do you think, or is this more a labor of love?
We'd like to think we can turn a profit, but it's definitely a labor of love.
Now, you own this building, and of course, not far from this particular theater is the Globe Market. Tell us a little bit about that.
Lisa Henning and my wife started Globe Markets on Elmwood Avenue. Actually, Lisa started it, and it's done wonderful, and Hurdle is booming, and we brought Globe over here as well.
Let's talk about Hurdle. If you were to give a State of the Hurdle Avenue speech, what would you say about its current status?
If anybody could give a State of the Avenue speech, it's me. I've been here for over 2 decades. More has gone on in 2 years than in the last 20. It's amazing. Small shop owners used to open up with 10,000, 15,000 investments. Now you're seeing people spend hundreds of thousands in the same space.
What do you think is driving that?
What's driving it is that Hurdle is, in a sense, the new Elmwood. It's a neighborhood still, but it's wider. It's just an area that has developed. A lot of people have come over from the Elmwood Village, young professionals. It's just seen a rebirth.
Are you seeing any problems filling specific, storefronts?
No, I have a list of people looking for storefronts. That is not a problem whatsoever on Hurdle Avenue.
What do you think the biggest challenge is on Hurdle?
Brian, the biggest challenge is going to be parking. For 15 or 20 years I sat around and there weren't any cars. Now there's no parking spots. Hopefully someday we'll be able to work with the church and hopefully get the parking lot because Hurdle's going to need it.
What kind of a deficit do you think you have with parking?
It's a deficit, but it is such a neighborhood-oriented commercial strip that so many of our customers actually do walk that it's a detriment, but it's not fatal.
Now, you mentioned the walkers. Do you have a real big clientele of people right in this immediate neighborhood?
Absolutely. That is the clientele. I mean, more and more we see people from Orchard Park. We do see people from other areas, but this is really Buffalo's last great neighborhood.
So, in other words, this is yet another case of a neighborhood business strip really thriving because of the core, the concentration of homes around it?
It's the core, it's the concentration, but this is your classic example of local business people not getting public monies, going in with their own investment, their own blood, sweat, and passion for their business, and bringing the commercial and the residential back.
Now, over at the Globe, you've redone a dining room. You're kind of putting the finishing touches on now. You're talking about hundreds of thousands invested in the North Park Theater in the future. You did something on Delaware Avenue as well in your law offices.
Right. I own the Cornell Mansion, and we restored that from top to bottom as well. I mean, architecture is my passion. When I saw this theater, it's about as fine of an example as you can get of turn-of-the-century architecture, and we just decided it's got to be saved.
We know about the architectural legacies here in Western New York. We also know about the costs and the obstacles in revitalizing them. What can or should be done to have more people do what you're doing with these buildings?
Well, one thing you have to make the permit process much easier. You have to allow the person that's willing to take the risk to make the decisions what it's going to take to restore it. You can't get caught up in bureaucracy. You can't get caught up in licensing. You have to say to a human being or an investor, if you're going to spend that kind of money, it's your project and we're going to respect that. And that's my opinion as a businessman.
And yet you hear from City Hall, if you listen to those folks, it sounds as if, you know, the problems have been solved and we're as user-friendly as we've ever been, etc.
You know, I do give City Hall a lot of credit. I mean, we have been developing properties, my wife and I, for over 25 years, and it has improved, but I still think it has a long way to go in terms of how quickly we can get things done.